We've been talking about why to have a plan, why to have goals. And so this week, in this session, I want to talk to you about how to prepare a plan. When I prepare my plan, I do top-down planning and bottom-up. Now, what do I mean by that? Top-down is what I want to achieve, and then as I go through the activities to achieve it. Bottom-up is how much time I'm willing to put into it. So for example, I would typically have 500 non-billable hours, of which I figured 100 were administrative hours, sometimes more. Then I had 100 hours that were focused on myself and my own development. That would leave 240 to 300 to focus on business development. So that's 20 hours a month or 30 hours a month, as the case may be. So when I'm sitting in the planning process, I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to spend that 20 hours or 25 hours a month on client development? I'm going to break that down into two categories. One is building my profile and becoming more visible and more credible to my target market. The second part is building relationships. So in the profile building area, that could include being active in the bar, being active in the community. For me, it was being active in the industry, in the construction industry. So I was doing a lot of writing and a lot of speaking. So in the planning process, I would be thinking about what I was going to write and where I was going to speak, what organizations. Now, in terms of the relationship building, most of my clients were out of town, so it was unusual for me to actually have lunches with clients, meet clients at Starbucks, take clients to ball games. It required me to actually travel to the client. So I'm deciding which clients am I visiting, what am I going to do while I'm there. The typical thing that I did was to focus on doing workshops, seminars, or other things that would be valuable to the client, and doing that at no charge. So in the planning process, I'm thinking through which clients and when, and then what, those three things. Now, when I used to talk about spending 500 hours of non-billable investment time, many of the younger lawyers in my firm gave me kind of a quizzical look, thinking, Cordell, you're a workaholic, you're spending way too much time on your career and not enough time on your personal life. When they did that, I asked them to draw a circle, put 168 in the middle. I asked them what 168 represents, and many of them didn't know. It's actually the number of hours in a week. I said, let's take that 168 hours. Suppose you sleep 8 hours a night, that's 56 hours. Then suppose you're actually doing billable work for 40 hours. Then suppose you take 10 non-billable hours a week. That would get you to the number of hours that I'm talking about, 500. That leaves 62 waking hours to focus on your personal life, including being a good mom or dad, being active in the community, being active in your church, being physically fit, doing all the things that are important to you in your personal life. And what I tried to share with young lawyers is that so many of them have no plan for their non-billable investment time, and really not much of a plan for their personal time, and then they wonder what happened. So it's very, very important to plan both of those just the same as you're planning your billable work. So the planning process begins with the broad overall what you're going to do during the year, and then breaking it down, as we've talked about in other sessions, what you're doing each month for your 20 hours or 25 hours, as the case may be, and then what you're doing each week. That's a good way to get started and to actually have a plan for your future success and your future personal fulfillment.